1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Hello. 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 Everything working? Final game. The classical portion of the match. Ding-Gukesh against Gukesh-Ding. Stage is set for another draw, but Ding-Gukesh promised us it's not gonna be a short draw. I don't also expect a short draw because Ding is not really going down the long theoretical lines with white. He doesn't even know which lines Gukesh is gonna go for, so I don't think they will end up in a theoretical line that ends in a draw. But they'll probably end up in a very solid position. Carlson said yesterday Ding should play very safe and said she should go e4. And then he said Gukesh should go c5. But I don't understand why you should go either of these moves. Ding could just do something like he did before. English, possible, but a little too expected. London, a little too expected. Yeah, something. I don't know. Hard to say, hard to expect what Ding's gonna do. Very hard to expect. London, another one. Maybe, yeah, but Gukesh might have prepared some surprise there, which wouldn't be pleasant, but it's possible, yeah. Catalan would be a little bit late, yeah, to enter. Maybe c4 again. But that's of course what Gukesh of course expects. c4 in London. These are the two things that Gukesh expects. So, you know, maybe something else. Maybe indeed e4. Maybe. But then indeed you could get interesting game in Sicilian, where Ding has very little experience, both colors. Is f4 playable at this level? For barely playable, but not for a safe game. There was an Italian earlier. I mean, frankly, Gukesh is gonna play e5. Who are we kidding? But at the same time, I would think that the Reti is a normal choice, but Gukesh has played it himself. Reti would be kind of in Ding spirit, yeah? For Ding. Kind of typical Ding. He likes when this bishop is here. So he plays Catalan. He plays the English. This is also one opening where the bishop comes out here. It's also possible, by the way, there's this opening to go here. But the bishop is now blocked. Not the same. Wow. Any chance of Sicilian? No, for sure, yeah, some chance. Don't think it's very high, because e4 is a relatively low probability event and c5 is a low probability event. So let's say if e4 is a 20% chance and c5 is a 30% chance, we're looking here at 8% chance, 7% chance. Knight f3, yeah, much more sensible. d5 is d4 just. Oh wow, I predicted Reti. Wow, I predicted Reti, yeah. I told you the bishop is good here, but Gukesh has played it himself, so wasn't obvious. But he did go for Reti. Yeah, no, I'm predicting better than Carlson. If I also played better than Carlson, it would have been really good. But you want one step at a time. For now, I'm a better predictor. Maybe one day I'll be a better player, but it's a much harder task. Let's watch the video. Yeah, Gukesh is thinking. He has prepared extensively for this beforehand, and also he also has played it with white. But I guess he might have few options, and also he probably had a certain game plan before the game, like a certain strategy, and he's maybe thinking now whether his main weapon for this fits that strategy. Really curious what he'll do. Many people played g6, bishop g7, especially a few years ago. This was like all the rage. Everybody was going g6, bishop g7. Now people calm down a bit and start playing more different setups. There are those when you can get the bishop out here or here. Those where you lock the bishop also. Play solid, also very popular now. And there are c5 related setups where you try grab space. With pawn on c5, then you can then go for developing the knights, or developing the bishop here, or developing the bishop here as well. Lots of different ways. This is very trendy. Jeffrey Jean played against me in Tile Tuesday recently. This also trendy. These weird moves, provoking d4. These are the first things that come to mind. Somebody played a5, a4 even. You can afford this. It's crazy. It's not so bad. And I saw recently someone played b5 here. c5, yeah, I told you these setups also exist. Then you can either develop both knights, or you can develop the bishop here, or you can develop the bishop here. Okay, so probably knight f6 or knight c6 first. Probably knight f6. Knight c6 first also has its own independent lines. Oh, this is exciting. Now you should go d4 if you want to play it safe, because otherwise black is going to take space. Yeah, so it goes d4. Not going d4 leads to reversed color king's Indian, very, very interesting positions, but not really suiting Ding's current approach. E6. Okay, now if castle. I see. Okay, no, it's going to be... Let's see if he wants to go knight f6 simply. Or if he wants to go cd. I don't think there are other major moves there that I remember. b5 looks interesting, but... Yeah, castle b5 looks interesting, but very provocative. I expect knight f6. But let's see. For now, Ding has to castle. I don't think you should do something else. I think you should castle. Slightly strange that he played e6 and not knight f6. Makes me question whether he's going to go knight f6 next. Probably not, huh? Maybe he wants to go taking bishop c5. Wait, I'm getting very noisy feedback here. Yeah, it's expected after castle he wants cd, because if you want to go knight f6, you start with knight f6. So yeah, this is a small surprise, but it's not a problem. Not a problem. Bishop c5, I guess. This is fun, actually. This is actually fun. I mean, it's as fun as Catalan. Oh, this is very interesting. Actually, Ding doesn't know this. It's extremely rare. You know what this is? You know what this is? Okay, Ding is gonna think now, so you can start analyzing. This is really fun. This is really fun. So there is this line with in the Grunfeld. So basically, Reti is the reverse Grunfeld, right? So we have this position with the tempo up for black, yeah. But in the Grunfeld, there is this line. Not 92 here for some reason, which is food for thought. Not 92 here, because maybe Ding should retreat the knight. But anyway, there is this line. At some point became very trendy. I played... yeah, became very trendy, this line, and I have faced it in a Grand Prix against Kasimdzhanov for the first time. Then it was really trendy. That was a year... I'm thinking it is a year 2011, I think. I think 11, no. Or 12. Or 13. No, not 13, no. 2012 or 11. Anyway, around those years, or 10? No, 10 cannot be. No, it's 2700 probably. So that must have been 11. Yeah, anyway, this was around 2010, 11, 12. This system was a big thing. But even with the tempo up, I don't remember. I was also putting the queen on d8. Yeah, you can go for e5 plans or c5 plans. I think in my Grunfeld course I go for c5 plans now. In my game though, I'm not sure what I've done. either way, anyhow, Gukesh is playing the same thing, tempo down, which is not very worrying for white. So you can be sure that c4 is not worse for white. You can be sure knight b3 is not worse. But at the same time, you have different objectives when you play with white than when you play with black. So if you equalize comfortably, with black, you feel good. If you're like very slightly worse with black, you feel pretty fine. But if you are very slightly worse with white, you feel really uncomfortable very often, because this shouldn't be happening, and it was not also on your mind. So it's actually very interesting. At some point, I realized it was one of my weaknesses a few years ago. I was looking at my losses, many losses with white, and I realized that I would have never lost these positions if I had them with black. Very slightly worse endgames, which I defended with black with like 100% success rate. I would never lose them with black. But with white, I was losing them. And I noticed it, and just the realization of it improved the problem a lot. Quite interesting. Just the color of the pieces, changes the entire outlook. But it's not only the color of the pieces, it's your entire mindset for the game. So with white, you're fighting for advantage, and when you get slight discomfort, you can sometimes be disturbed if you are not conscious of it. But nowadays, people got much better with that. Anyway, what this means is that it's just not the same. So although colors reversed, you have an extra tempo. It's not the same. If black gets to equalize here, you don't feel amazing. While if you let white equalize there, I mean white already equalized. So it's basically you can't really compare just basically these things. You can't really compare them, but you can still think, okay, how does it compare? So black wants to take and go knight c6. This is the purpose of these knights. So the most really common sense is knight b3. The bar slightly dropped, by the way. It's Gukesh surprise thing. But still, I like white's chances, because I think the position suits Ding, but yeah, he's out of book a bit, out of prep. So the bar slightly dropped. On knight b3, most common sense. You preemptively get rid of this operation, and now the knights are in each other's way. But, okay, black has a few different ways here to play. I'll take the engine at some point, but for now, like the first impression, the human feedback, it would be to, okay, there are a few ways. First one is to go e5, which I believe is the most dubious. Yeah, the knights are still an issue and the bishop is not coming out. So the most safe approach, I would guess, is to develop the bishop here. That's the most tempting. And the other is to move the knight and develop the bishop. But yeah, it's all not too tempting. I think e5 highly ambitious. I'm not sure you have time for it. So I think just g6, bishop g7 is the most common sense. And the other very tempting move is c4, but then you have to allow this kind of business, and you have to see what happens here. You can undermine him. I mean, this is basically my course with the tempo up, so white is definitely equal here, not worse, but whether white's better is a question. That's why reversing the colors is not always too helpful. You can be sure that you're not worse with white, but you don't know if you're better, so it is not exactly the same. So two big moves, c4, knight b3, are the ones that come to my mind. You could drop the knight somewhere else as well, but this is really about it. You could also go for e4 push. This is also fine, of course. And in fact, if you trade like this, it's the same as if you traded here and went queen d1 back. So you could also trade first and then go c4 or e4, like in that Greenfield line I showed you. This one. This position, but tempo up for white. Here it's white to move, and there it's black. There it's also white to move. White moves first in chess. So it's part of it, part of the rules. Yeah, I would expect, like, intuitively, I think knight b3, because even in that Greenfield line, they really take on d5 first, which makes me also wonder, so why not? There must be some reason, yeah, why not this? There must be some reason. Maybe it's to do with this or something. I'll check it all on the engine now. I think I'll check it on the engine now. Why not? I'll check it on the engine, because Gukesh has checked it on the engine. I'll also check it on the engine. Let me take some compy. Some random one. Okay, so let's see what's happening. Interesting prep by Gukesh. To sum it up, he has managed to surprise Ding. This is a new system, or a very rare one. Let me see if there are games. I know this CD knight d4 bishop c5 is very common, but knight g7 is very rare. Yeah, there are almost no games. It's almost entirely new. So really good, good prep there by Gukesh. I will ask myself, so why not knight d4, knight d7 first? Wow. Okay. So the reason why not takes is that apparently after rook d1, black is having a bit of an issue. Surprisingly, queen e3, you have a bit of an issue with the pawn, and after bishop e7, c4, you're losing the pawn. So that's a bit of a bummer. So that's why knight e7 first, and you don't have time for rook d1 now. So this is the clever part. Obviously, the downside is that knight b3 is available now. Knight b3 is indeed a move as well. Computer also likes it a bit for white. Indeed gives g6 and knight f5 and e5, all of these options that I mentioned. So I'm not even sure what Gukesh prepared, even with computer, because computer says all three are kind of equal. Kind of, a bit better for white. And g6 is first line on this engine, so indeed it's the safest. I'm glad I spoke some sense here. And c4 is the first line on this engine, or takes c4, but c4 is the first line on this engine, and e4 is the another one. So c4 takes knight c6. This is how 3 games went. And I, by the way, don't really like this look of this for black, to be honest, because I was happy with this line for black. Colors reverse, tempo down. So this computer says white is a bit better after all retreats, but it prefers queen to f4, which is the least likely. What if bishop d6? Some queen g4 or what? Let's see. Queen f4, so strange. Queen d2 now. I guess d4 we can take here and take the pawn, because if you go directly to d2, I guess we have to take d4 into account much more. Yeah, interesting business, but really not worried for Ding, by the way. Really not worried for Ding from also the engine, what it says. Push a bit up. At some point Gukesh's prep is gonna run out, and then position will be nice for white, I guess. Let me look at Ding before I give my final judgment. The visual. Ah, no, he's a little bit down. A little bit down. But just a little bit. He'll rise up at some point. Yeah, very interesting. Surprising to me. I don't know. Of course, I understand the value of surprise value. The surprise of the surprise value, the value of the surprise value. I understand that, I respect it. But okay. Personally, I would find it pretty easy to play with white this position. I'm very familiar with the colors reverse, so. And I don't see how I can go wrong with white, to be honest. I mean, any of the breaks give white small initiative, with or without dropping the knight back. Ding's chilling, you think? Yeah, it's a bit down. It look like this, a little bit down. Yeah, I'm a little bit. No, but I mean, I understand. So basically, the idea is that black has surprised white. It's a new system. Also, it's cool to introduce a new system. So I respect that. And the other thing is that he has analyzed it all and equalized it all with black. You can do this indeed. But yeah, I guess he wasn't able to find something similar with a bit more winning chances for black, because I guess it's quite hard to come up with a new system against the Reti. But yeah, certainly surprised. Computer prefers this move, and this is also the one that is much more popular. This is really, really rare. Yeah, no, just all options are pretty nice for white. Hard to really go wrong. Pretty much whatever you do is just slightly nice. That's the thing about deep prep. Sometimes people, they prepare so deep that they slightly too deep. They're too deep. But let's see. Ding is in a tank. Ding is in a tank. He has a lot to think about, but he can't really go wrong just yet. Yeah, so I think the fundamental question is whether you go for c4 right away or whether you go for knight b3 first. It's a fundamental question. It is a fundamental question. I would guess more fun happens after knight b3 because you have more pieces on the board. This is really dull stuff, c4. Like the most dull approach is to drop the queen back here and then just go e3 and no, bishop c5 or e5 and then just take, develop. Very dull. c4 played. Yeah, now after knight c6 I'm curious where he, like computers, this is a very unlikely move, like this is a very strange move, but there is logic. So computer thinks that d4, correctly, that d4 is black's response against any queen drop. So he puts a queen here where it controls not only d4 square but also e5 square. So after d4 maybe rook d1, e5 you can take and take. And once you give this extra tempo here, computer says now I go here, I lost this full tempo, but the bishop here blocks the file, so now you cannot go d4 because I take. So you are, this way you prevented d4 push effectively. So the computer prefers, at least this version of this computer, prefers queen to f4. But I think this is a very, very deep thought that will not occur to Ding. I think Ding is choosing between queen d3 and queen d1. And I'm afraid that he might be spooked by knight e5, which somehow was not working. Let me check why. Sort of working, but sort of also not amazingly. He just sucks the pawn and then he'll regain the d5 pawn somewhere. And the bishop will be quite strong here. But yeah, the most obvious is queen to d1. This is like the move I'd expect from someone in blitz, let's say, playing a blitz game. It's a very shallow, basic move, the one I suggested as well. It has no obvious downsides, other than that the queen is the most passive here of all squares, but it doesn't get targeted anywhere. This has a clear downside. This has some sort of a downside. Yeah, this is also a weird square. This is also a weird square. So you go to d1. This is like the dumbest approach, not in a negative sense. Often dumbest is the best, especially when you're not prepared. But then you have to deal with d4, e3, and now e5 or bishop c5. But white is very safe here. White is very safe here. You have that, it's a theory basically. This position is in my course with black to move here. So let's say this position is in my course, like a full... where did I develop the bishop? Let me try to remember. I mean, something like this is in my course, like a full tempo down for the white side. It's like a green full tempo up, so you can put the bishop out. Just watch out a bit for g5. For example, be a bit careful not to lose the bishop here. You're not losing it here, probably, so you're just fine. It doesn't quite work. Yeah, so you're probably fine. You could also not burn the bridges and develop the knight first here, or you can also sometimes put knight on a3, but it's always double-edged. Yeah, this is one of the scenarios. Bishop c5 is a different scenario. Yeah, it's something like this. e5, bishop out. Meanwhile, I'll trade this bishop. Should be very equalish. Very equalish. Yeah, big choice here for Ding. Yeah, after some thought, this particular engine that I have there are many different versions of engines, and they all sometimes say same thing, sometimes different. But this one, it prefers queen f4 or queen d3. Both moves are quite sophisticated, and I'll be impressed if Ding chooses either of them. Especially queen f4 will impress me, because this is not in my patterns. I would really choose between these two squares normally if I wouldn't go deep in the position, if it's like something I see in a blitz game. But this is very impressive if he finds queen f4, queen d2. This then is very impressive to address d4. And then computer then says here maybe to just go dc, and use the fact that you develop the bishop, but then white will regain this pawn somewhere and the bishop will be bad. So black will need to be able to somehow trade it. Bishop comes out, knight should go, and bishop should go here. But it's not so easy to achieve. A typical Catalan problem for black. The bishop is powerful and this bishop is bad. But black has some pawn for now, so white will lose time trying to regain it. And also white is a little worse developed right now. Something like this is likely to come. Maybe you can... Okay, I haven't analyzed it. Maybe we can check with the knight and do something like this. And almost equalize, but even these positions are... They look worse a little bit, even something like this. White has a bit more active pieces, more control of the c-file. So yeah, black has to know what he's doing, and luckily for Gukesh he does. What engines are best to use for best analysis possible? Well, there are some sophisticated ones, but the mainstream free open source latest Stockfish version is something you can't go wrong with. Just the latest Stockfish. You can't go wrong. But if you are really sophisticated and you want to find something the opponents haven't found, you can dig deep and you know, try to find some special tools. And some of the top players are doing it. Finding some special tools, but it's not it's no longer making a bigger difference as it used to. But you can still get some small edge that, yeah, this is the move that I said. It is the least principled of the three, but the most obvious move, and I don't blame Ding for it. It's the move that I said as well. Ding of course has a d4 of course game. So Ding from here he chose the simplest approach, not the most ambitious. He has very good understanding of these positions. He also knows the Grünfeld. He also knows the Retis. He knows all of these things. E3 came, yeah, normal. And now bishop c5 or e5, probably bishop c5, yeah. But what Ding has done so far is he has consciously chosen the safest option instead of the most principled, which is not surprising at all, given the match situation and his overall game plan. And once you are surprised, especially if you are in a risk-free mindset, you want to play it the simplest possible. So I'm not at all surprised he didn't go for knight b3, which he realized is very critical. Not at all surprised he didn't go for queen f4 or queen d3, which queen d3 he probably realized is critical, because after queen d3, d4, the queen is a little bit more active here. But you do have to consider this. You are down a pawn for a while and you are thinking, okay, maybe it won't be so easy to regain it, you know, like you see some, although, yeah, of course, you're super safe, but whatever, yeah, whatever. He basically went to d1, not to bother. And now it's on Gukesh. e5 and bishop c5 are both possible according to computer. I think my computer, that version, was saying bishop c5. Oh no, but it's very close. Very close. Yeah, they're around the same evaluation, and but lead to entirely different positions. Very interesting what he'll choose. He's probably analyzed both. But this position is something you would really expect to get as black. So after playing knight g7, if white does the dumbest way, which is c4 or takes in c4, you just get here. You also get here in this order. It's the same thing. Yeah, no, I'm not at all... e5 leads to more double-edged play, I feel. Because you have this passed pawn, which is also a weakness. And I've looked at this position in my Grünfeld course, yeah? With the colors reversed and extra tempo. The bishop already is on e7 there. And I think I liked this side. But when it was black, it's different, you know? With black, when you achieve equality, you're happy. And with white, you have more ambitious goals. Yeah, no, this engine I have, now that it keeps running, suddenly e5 is a bit more liked. But it's the same. It's the same eval. Bishop c5. Yeah, it's a very, very equalish, very safe for white. And e5. Yeah, frankly, it's also not dangerous. I think he'll go e5. He'll go e5. Wow. Wow, there's some epic line. There's some funny line after e5. Take, take, check, bishop e7. Bishop to g5. I don't know, wait, why can't you castle? Let's see if I castle. Yeah, no, castle, computer says white's better here. Because, you know, you've got rid of this bishop on f4, which was a target to g5. So you're really relieved now. You can focus on surrounding this pawn. But the main line is f6. Now there's funny line there. You can take here. Go queen h5 check. This is gonna be mated, so you're gonna go here. Now you can play knight c3. If dc rook d1, kind of funky monkey business. And the computer says it's more or less equal, more or less. King c7, king goes here. It's funny stuff. It will never happen. Yeah, let's see. Bishop c5 is a bit more solid. You just develop. But after bishop c5, you're gonna get something like this. And okay, it's extremely safe for white. Very likely to. Well, I'm not even sure it ends in a draw. I mean, white has a bit of pressure. But black has this knight neutralizing the bishop and potential for a 5e4 somewhere, so should be around equal. But a big choice for Gukesh. Yeah, he's prepared both moves, e5 and bishop c5. I suspect he's choosing because both are good. Both are good, but both are not perfect. Not perfect they are. Let me take another engine actually just to see. Different engines give you different perspectives. Let me just open it on Chessify actually, for fun. Gukesh still thinking, huh? Interesting he thinks so long. He thinks really long. You want normally to make these kind of choices before, but I think that he hasn't expected this ready for this particular game. So he is now thinking whether his prep that he's done before, whether that prep, which was, let's say, which he would play in a certain way in round, let's say 5 or 6, beginning of somewhere in the middle of the match or beginning, whether that game preparation that he has done for that kind of game suits for this kind of game where he has a particular state of mind, particular game plan. So maybe he wants, for example, in this game to not go into a position where you are slightly worse without any hope of taking over. For example, that could be his, could be a sensible, logical thought. And now he's thinking, okay, so in that line with bishop c5, if he does this, I get a position there where I have 0 winning chances and he's a bit better. And that will be okay in the early round because, okay, draw is very fine. And if he loses that round, it would not be the end of the world. But now he thinks, okay, but this is, for this match situation is really not good. So maybe I want that other position, which for round 5 or 6 was too risky. But now it's maybe good because that will make Ding also more nervous. So he's trying to see how his initial prep from before the match, how it looks in the context of the current match situation and the current game plan, how the prep he had, how it looks in the context of the current approach. What's my prediction? I think it will be a draw. I think it will be a draw. Somehow, some way, they'll find each other. Let me see meanwhile. I'll take some other engine to see, just for fun. Gukesh has come up with it's an interesting creative system, but I'm not overly impressed with this particular piece of prep. So if Team Gukesh is watching this, guys, doing a great job. But today, let's see what move he made. I predict e5. I predict e5. Let me watch. Wait, is there no move? No, bishop c5. That's a cleaner move, yeah. Cleaner in the sense that it's less double-edged. A bit more unpleasant for Ding maybe as well, because now he knows that it's not just a tempo up position from my course, which he of course studied. But he now knows, okay, it's some original position. He understands he can never be worse with white, but still it's an unusual position. But yeah, speaking of this prep, no guys, well done of course, but not overly impressed here. Not overly impressed from Gukesh point of view, because, you know, still the white's bishop is powerful, easy to play for white. Very little risk for white. Okay, they'll tell me that it's hard to find something new which is risky for white. To which I say true. I give you that. No, it's cool. It's cool to prepare something new. So Gukesh has prepared something unusual against 1c4. He has actually a lot of new ideas. That f6 thing was new-ish. That bishop e7 thing was new-ish. This is also new. Yeah, it makes sense. But it didn't work out. It didn't work out. By the way, it didn't work out in the previous time. That the surprise with bishop e7 just didn't work out at all. Ding just played the best way without knowing it. And Gukesh was actually in a slightly worse position. And he didn't recall the details. And if now it's going to be the same story, it could be dangerous. I hope Gukesh is more into the details. Ding looks very chill. Very chill. But I don't think he's very ambitious anymore. Yeah, I think this game is heading towards simplification at some point. I envision the scenario when everything is getting traded already. I already envisioned that. Call me a pessimist, but I already envisioned these scenarios. I envision them. I'm an visionary. Okay, there actually were there is some move queen h5. I think computer showed. Funny move, but not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Queen h5. Queen a4. Somebody mentions. Yeah, queen a4. I don't know. Bishop d7. I guess. Both moves feel odd to me. You would love to go knight do knight b3 in one go, but you can't, because d will happen. I think he's gonna take here. I don't see what else gonna play. Queen h5 would be really cool. If you don't know that the engine likes it, you don't necessarily think it's good. A bit strange, but very cool move, queen h5. I do like the look of it now that I see it. But maybe queen e7 or something. No, queen h5 is a bit odd. You just think queen e7, humanly speaking. No, I think you want to go ed, then it takes with the bishop. Not with the knight, because knights should block this bishop. And also not get into any kind of pins. So yeah, you take with here, you take here. This will happen. Yeah, the question is, what do you do with this knight? Do you just place it here? Or do you place it somewhere else? Why not here, in fact? I don't see a big reason not to play knight d2. Well, black at least has e5. The thing is, black at some point will go e5, and then you want the knight on d5, perhaps. This is one reason why you could place the knight here. You could also try to directly target this bishop, like queen e2, rook d1, bishop e3. White's very safe for now because black needs time. Castle, e5, and bishop out has to... Jesus, the arrow drawing today is tough. Castle, e5, and bishop out has to happen, and that takes you 3 moves. And even after that, so the only way white can ever be worse in these positions, realistically, is if black goes also f5, e4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 moves by black. Even then white's not worse, but still. White at least has a bishop locked out. And in the meantime, white also has plenty of moves. Yeah, you're just not in time with black. But with black, you should not think about f5, e4. I think it's too ambitious. I think with black, you should just castle e5, get the bishop out, rook out, target the pawn a bit, try to trade as much as possible. If the knight comes to d5, maybe trade it as well. No, I think just really the position is given the state of mind of Ding especially, that he wants to play definitely not to burn bridges like in the first game, like in the first match, sorry, against Nepo. In the last match, so Ding, he was trading the entire time. He kept bouncing back, but in the last round he got a bit greedy. He was like, okay, let me try and win this one. And he really went for it from the start. And very quickly it backfired, and he was on the defensive. And then he was lucky to hold, because it was just because Nepo got too nervous and ruined the winning position. So he held and went to play tiebreak, and then won the tiebreak. So he knows that overpressing with white in the last round is something he could do. So he wants to definitely avoid it. He doesn't want to make draw, but he doesn't want to overpress. So he will play it, of course, very safe, obviously. And if you play this position safe, then yeah, there are a lot of potential trades here. Not too obviously, it's not too symmetrical or too obvious how you're gonna trade, but still it's not too crazy, the position. It's not too crazy. What's his time situation? Okay, he's just down like 20 minutes. Yeah, no, he passed on a few opportunities already, Ding, to play it more fun. He passed on a few opportunities. He's really playing it very sober. Sober player. Yeah, e5, bishop c5. Yeah, bishop c5 is the more sane move. e5 was kind of fun though also. Yeah, bishop c5. Computer also mentions that this is not going to happen in a million years. Also mentions a3, just allowing this de thing. Not going to happen. This weak e3 pawn, Ding doesn't like it. It creates a lot of risk for him. Queen h5 is fun, of course. Queen h5 is fun. But yeah, probably ed. Bishop d. Yeah, the computer I have here, it says it's completely equal. Black actually completely equalizes there. Yeah, black is very comfortable actually, according to this engine that I have now. Yeah, you know what? Actually, okay, actually, you know, yeah, actually black's very comfortable. It's a bit more on the clock. Black is just very fine. Some initiative on the clock. So I looked at this line. Computer said just take. Something like this it said. I don't remember where to put the queen, but let's say whatever, yeah. Where actually? Let's see. C8 maybe also. Yeah, let's say here. Sorry, not here. This would be a gambit. Now queen c7. Computer really says this is fine for. Of course it's fine, but it says that black is very comfortable here. Yeah, white has some weaknesses, but the bishops are still nice. This position, of course, has a tendency to get interesting. Both sides have potential here. White definitely has potential with these two bishops, but black also has potential, let's say, to first of all generate this kind of play. And also, if you imagine that black would somehow be able to trade these bishops somehow, it would be a tremendous achievement. Then this bishop would be very harmless on its own. The knight would become an absolute monster. The pawn majority on the king side is also there. So this position is actually, although equal, it has a potential to be interesting. Yeah, also you have an interesting situation that if the bishop lands somewhere here, first of all can be chased, but also then these squares are a bit weak around it. Kind of interesting situation. And maybe you somewhere, yeah, e4 is also a big thing. So with e4 you give up this f4 square and expose the 5th rank like that and lose some sort of mobility with your pawns, but you do shut off this bishop and you create this g4 outpost for the pieces. So there's something to be talked about this position, but it's not yet on the board. We are here right now. Queen h5 is liked by the computer. I don't know. Really curious if you'll let me wait. Queen h5, you see, yeah, he really likes it. Queen h5. I think queen e7, queen b6, yeah, first line, but I like this queen e7 more. Yeah, it's interesting. You developed the queen already. Even bishop g5, very dynamic play. Very interesting. Now probably you should listen to the computer, not to me. Go queen b6. Take bishop take. No, you have developed the queen for free. It is interesting. Even this is interesting. Knight on c2 is a very interesting piece. Targets the bishop and also defends the e3 square. So prepares bishop e3. For example here. Very interesting for white. Queen h5 is a great move. Really curious if you'll find it. Very original move. Children play it, but grown-ups don't play it anymore. You know, yeah, this one, just for the viewers, just so you know. You'll be really thankful to me. When this comes, defend. This comes, defend. And now you're good. So queen h5 is a thing, yeah? Also like that they do sometimes. First this, don't get confused. Then you go here. Just keep an eye on this one. And then you're good. So here, yeah, queen h5 is a better one than there. Here it has different purpose. You don't try to give mate, you just try to develop a piece for free. Before you go ed bishop d4, you're trying to develop a queen, hit the bishop, make black waste to move, and then you take. And the queen is already out, so the rook can at some point come in here. Well, it's quite nice. Curious if you'll find it. Not like find it, but decide on it. It's not an only move. In a3, as I mentioned, yeah, it's a very difficult decision. D, F, E. Very difficult decision without computer to decide to create this weak pawn. Strategic weakness. No, this is not happening. It can be happening if you're prepared. So I can also play. It's easy to play this position. Once you know it's good, you just play. Yeah. You have a lot of trumps. You have this queenside majority. You've got the monster bishop. The pawn is guarding the d4 square, so I can easily justify it and really make it work. Play a great game after that. But somehow to know that this is good would be very helpful before deciding to play it. Ding's choosing. I don't think a3 is on his radar. I think the choices between ed, queen h5, and maybe queen e2 or rook e1 type moves. Maybe queen e2. Yeah, queen e2 is kind of. Yeah, but then e5. The queen e2 is queen e2 is not makes no sense. Yeah, I don't see. This is just de. This is knight a3 is, by the way, possible. But again, I don't expect him to do this because it creates some. It gives black something to hope for in an endgame. Because when you have a pawn on e3, okay, you are worse right now because of dynamic factors, but there is a potential for black to be better. So for example, if you just did nothing and you just traded the bishops, already black is better. While if the same happened with the pawn on f2, it wouldn't have been the case. For example, if you were to trade bishops like that, you're not better. So pawn e3 is a strategic weakness, strategic risk, which player like Ding in this situation doesn't want to take. And he understands these things. Computer surely understands it in a way, but doesn't really explain it. So you might say, okay, what's the difference? Both 0-24, a3 or ed, same. White is a bit better. Not the same. Different risk management involved. It's Benko versus Origaisi. Are they playing? This is actually a really interesting game as well, in terms of importance. Let me see. Do they have an early round in Qatar? Oh my god, they do. Oh, this is theory. This is all theory. Yeah, it's theory. Oh, Arjun. Interesting. Aha, interesting. It's So what happened in that game, I'll just show you. Arjun against, briefly, Arjun against Esipenko. Arjun played this like Gukesh. I don't think they worked together, but they're looking at each other probably. And then Esipenko played bishop b4, transposing to Ragozin. It's also exactly what I did against Jordan van Foreest in Vaikanzee. And then Arjun also played this line, as Jordan did. Esipenko, I think, used to play some other line, but for this game, he played knight c6, which is the line that I also played a few times. And they got this crazy position. And the reason I know this position, there are many reasons I know this position, but one of the reasons I remember the position, other than me having great memory, is because I beat Carlsen here. I beat Carlsen here with black once in a rapid. Carlsen played rook g1 against me, which is an epic novelty. Point was to take, sack the bishop, play e3, and give queen h5 check. Epic novelty. Played 15-minute rapid game online, and I tanked for a long time here. I spent 8 minutes out of my, or 7 out of my 15. Spent half my time. I think I castled. He went h4, and I realized, oh snap, this would be a disaster, strategic disaster, because I'll have only weaknesses on dark squares. These pawns become immobile, so I came up with f4, gf, g4, which is first line, and that was really cool. And Carlsen lost his, he lost the thread. He went rook b5, which made no sense. He should have gone c4 or something, or knight f3 even. Might have still a bit better, but my reaction was not so bad. But he went rook b5, I went knight e7, already black's better. I'm just going c6 and knight comes out. And then he blundered later in the game. And I won that game and the match. Very first online super tournament that was held. Magnus Carlsen Invitational 2020, beginning of COVID. Dear memory to me. But Arjun played knight f3, which was the main line also back then. Rook g1 already lost the surprise value. f4, bishop d2. Castle. Takes, and c4. And Esipenko is thinking, this is all theory, of course, but Esipenko has to remember. It's very confusing, yeah? There's king h8, there's queen f6. They both are reasonable, but they're different, and a very confusing position for Esipenko. He has to recollect, but Arjun has repeated it before the game clearly. He plays it very fast. So we have this, yeah, it's a wild position. Black lacks a little bit of the control of the central squares and has an exposed king, obviously exposed king, so it's obviously weak. But white's king, it has no safety either, and this bishop is very passive, which is maybe even the biggest issue right now. It's a very imbalanced position. But this Arjun game, that's his problem. Meanwhile, Ding took. PT. Queen h5, I didn't expect it at all, but it was actually a very interesting move. Now, so far, Ding plays in the most primitive way. Makes all the moves that I would play in the Blitz game as well. It's funny, like, he could have made these moves without thinking, but he spent... But this classical chess, you end up spending 40 minutes on the moves that you would play instantly. But it's a natural classical chess. Yeah, and I'm not... I looked a bit at this position. Not such fan of... no longer such fan of white's position as I was before. I think black is kind of reasonable. e5, castle e5, bishop out. Reasonable. The bishop is somewhat neutralized by this knight, somewhat. And this bishop is not an issue because this pawn can come forward and it comes out. Plus Gukesh has a lot more time on the clock. What do you think of Ding's performance this year? No, Ding has had a tough year, but I also imagine that when you have World Championship match coming, the importance of all other tournaments drops so significantly. And you see everything in context of the match. Yeah, the extra reason why Arjun's game is important is because he can catch Fabi in a circuit, which is remarkable. Which is remarkable because Fabi has won everything, I think, no? And he finished second at the candidates. But the way the circuit is, that was not such a... It didn't give him too much points. So now it's an open race, and if Arjun wins the game today, then Arjun overtakes Fabi, which would be remarkable, would be truly remarkable. But Arjun also had a great year. So they both had a great year. They both were able to maintain 2800 level throughout the year, which is really, really incredible. Especially nowadays when there is some sort of deflation. So 2800 is really, really high level, and they maintained it both for a year, and that's why they are now around tied for the FIDE circuit. They're very close to be tied, but Arjun's game is very important for that, for the one candidate spot. It's actually quite important for both of them because it's not easy to qualify to candidates, even if you're amazing. Last time Fabi qualified by all different metrics, by all different ways, but it is not easy. Every single way is difficult. Grand Swiss is very hard, World Cup is very hard. And everything is hard. Everything is hard. So even someone like Fabi or Arjun, if he misses out on the spot now, no guarantees he'll get the spot later. No guarantees. Fabi, yeah, he would have been uncatchable if he drew or beat Donchenko. Yeah, he should have tried and drawn Donchenko. He should have swallowed his pride and just been more cynical about it. But he went for a game and he lost it. He will argue he shouldn't have lost, but you know, it's still difficult when you play under so much pressure and you choose to... And you don't have a clear plan also for a game. Don't have a clear motivation. Okay, you say you want to win, but if you don't actually have an incentive to win, then maybe you think you want, but deep inside you don't. It's very complicated. Because what you think you want is not always what you want, yeah? Or what you think you believe is not what you believe. So this is makes life complicated. And sometimes it's possible from the outside to figure out what the person wants better than what he thinks he wants. Because you look at his situation and you can judge it without any biases, and that person doesn't just look at the situation, the person starts to think how he feels, but that the way he feels is misleading him. Because what he feels is fake. It's what he thinks he feels. Sometimes it's easier from the outside to guess the result of a game than for the players, for example. Like, I know this game will end in a draw. I just know it. Players don't know it, but I know it. I'm playing World Rapid and Blitz, yes. Knight City Castle, yeah. Yeah, I made Queen E2. I tried here Queen E2. Oh, nice. Nice. Nice move. Didn't think of it, but a very interesting move. Okay. Interesting move. Didn't think of it. I thought of knight e2, knight b3, remember? I pointed that out. But this is a different version of that. Different idea, but it could transpose after e5 takes. So if you drop the bishop, and there's only some tempi are there. First of all, where you drop it. Yeah, e5 is of course e5 is highly principled, yeah. Knight takes or pawn takes. Not obvious to me. Both have advantages. Knight is very strong in the center, but the pawn is also powerful. And the knight is doing a great job on c6 blocking this bishop. And ed, bishop e6, queen d7, queen, bishop h3 is a very, very simple plan. Knight d4 still requires you to address the b7 pawn. Hard to say, hard call. But this is only after e5. Already here there's options. I like Ding's move knight b5. Somehow I don't know why I just like it. I like it. He crossed the half of the board. It just feels good. He crossed this line. He crossed the river. You know, in Chinese chess they have the river. I don't know the rules of Chinese chess. I just know that they have the river. But in any case, Ding has crossed the chess river. It's a psychological thing. He's crossed the middle of the board. He's now feeling relieved. He's crossing the chess river good. It has advantages. Position is quite equal, I believe. Let's see what my my colleagues think of this. Wait, what's happening? Yeah, even my most enthusiastic colleagues expect a draw today. No, it's going to be a draw today, 100%. I don't even know why I'm streaming this game. It's the Ding, you know. Ding here said no short draw. Long draw. Short draw, my friend, short draw. You don't know if it will be short draw or not. You're not in charge of you're not even in charge of yourself. How can you be in charge of the draw? As someone who's made many short draws, I can say that it's not always up to you. Very rarely did I go to the game thinking I want to make a short draw. Very, very rarely. Like one time I remember was when I played Fabi in St. Louis. It was kind of funny situation. I was fighting for the FIDE circuit spot, and it was the most damaging for me to beat him. Because if I would beat Fabi, then I wouldn't really improve my own standing much because I was behind in the tournament already. But then Wesley would rise above Fabi, and Wesley was my competitor for the spot. So I was inclined to, like, the best would be to lose to, okay, but I'm not going to lose to Fabi. I'm not like, okay, also I have rating to care about and so on, back then especially. Now I have no rating anymore to worry about, but back then I had. And I had a funny situation that beating him was not beneficial for me. So I was playing white and I thought, okay, I cannot play like that. I'm just going to make a draw. Because how can I play when I have in the back of my mind that winning is not good? So I wanted to make sure draw and I made it. But sometimes I had games I was feeling very fine. I wanted to play, but then some opening comes and then position is there on the board and just, okay, I don't know. I think the best move leads to... the best decision also leads to some kind of simplification or something, and then happens a draw. It happens. I don't have many short draws, by the way. Luckily, not many short draws, but sometimes appear without your desire. So yeah, Ding said no short draw today, but I'm not sure. Not sure Ding is aware of what's coming. Yeah, e5 or not e5? That's the question. Yeah, I looked at Arjun and Esipenko. You can scroll back a bit if you want. I looked at it already. But that game is going to also be quite slow. Yeah, it's a classical game. Esipenko is in a tank. Oh my god, Esipenko already spent half an hour. I don't know, did I ever tell this on Rebecca or not? Oh my god. So it's so funny. You know, I don't know if I ever told this, and I don't know if I ever told it on stream or something. But when I was a child, literally a child, I was analyzing this French advance. I was a child, I promise you. I was a child. And I knew that bishop d3 is met by cd. Bishop d7, castle, and knight d4. So you cannot protect this pawn. You lost the pawn. And I knew that if you put the bishop here, you're going to receive... a bit confused now about the order. Yeah, you're going to receive this this situation here. Yeah, let's say like this. You have pawn problem. You can't take the knight. So I came up with this idea. I was a child, I promise you. I came up with the idea to go g3, and then you can go bishop to h3, and the bishop is protecting the square from here. And the point is that bishop here, it's not in the way. And so after cd, you can't take it because queen looks at this. So it is such a stupid idea. Like, it's such a primitive and very, very poor thought, because it has logic, but the bishop is really poor here and the computer doesn't like it. It just makes no sense. But Nonderbeck played it today with white. I don't know, have I ever told this? I might have told it somewhere because it's so stupid. I might have shared it. Maybe if he came up with it himself without without seeing it anywhere, that means that his thought process is similar to mine when I was a child, which is reassuring. Which is very bad news for Nutterbeck. But yeah, whatever. This is just I just saw this in Qatar and I couldn't control myself. Like I couldn't believe it. This is such a primitive idea. It was a child. I was a child. I'll show you one more idea that I had when I was a child, and that's it. I was like, I love chess openings since I'm a child. Another idea I had as a kid, it was this. So I knew that there exists an opening called Slav. And I knew that exists an opening called English. And at some point I figured out, okay, you can play c6, trying to get the Slav. And then I came up with the smooth queen a4. After d5 take, there's a pin. And I was extremely excited about it. Now, fun fact is that actually this idea is not so stupid, because in this position, actually, Svidler played it against me. It's actually some sort of kind of theory. Sorry, actually here. I think it goes like that even. Yeah, not here. Some form of theory it is. I won that game, by the way. I think I sacked a pawn like that. Because I knew it. He thought that I didn't know it, but I knew this idea since I'm a kid, so I knew this. So this is another idea. Maybe Nutterbeck can play next game. So here, Nutterbeck against Slav. Very nice. Very clever. Very clever. But I think that's about it. I'm not gonna share more ideas I had as a kid, but I had plenty more ideas. Gukesh is thinking. E5 is the culprit. E5 is the culprit. Is the way to try and. But you don't have to. You can also drop the bishop back right here and ask yourself if this knight is here to stay or if it will be kicked out. H5, maybe queen b6 or queen e7. But I don't know how does it. So computer put queen here. Yeah, maybe here. I don't know. How does it compare if you do this? You know, the thing is you're gonna misplace the queen, because queen is gonna be misplaced on these squares. Because if you go e5, then I'll target it. So it's a very subtle thing. And now it's bishop d7. Now it's bishop d7. No, knight. I don't know this. Maybe okay. Let's say just here. Yeah, the bishop on d7. It's a temporary solution. Ideally, it really wants to go out. So I don't know how, in terms of tempi, knight b5, knight c3 back. I think hard to say who stole the goods. Computer likes white, so probably white get some advantage from this knight b5, knight c3 maneuver. But e5 is the principled way. But then you can of course worry a bit with black that you don't have the bishop pair. Okay, this is very sensible. Protect. You go here. When I trade, I go here, you go somewhere here nonetheless, or even here. Whenever you go here, I can go here, so you cannot force a move repetition. Yeah, it's a little bit. I can imagine that black, if you don't have full confidence in this, that you think you are worse here. You can totally see it. Powerful bishops. Pawn is a strength, but also a weakness, very much a weakness. I don't know. Guess it's. Oh, his computer really likes black. Because knight d4 is coming. Bishop f5 at knight d4 is coming. Yeah, you see, it's not so simple. Wait, it's all just better for. Oh no, here. You should go bishop here. And what? If you take here, black has no issues at all. This king is weak. This pawn sack is good for black. Bishop better on b2. Well, obviously, Actually, very obviously. Bishop is better on b2 in general. And the reason for that is that after d3 comes, d4 square is protected. The bishop on b2 does a great job protecting also the d4 square, not only the e5 square. So bishop on f4 is actually very superficial. It should actually be on b2. No, that was not obvious to me. I just sort of dropped the bishop here without thinking. But if you think a bit deeper, yeah, so for a scenario like that, basically, with bishop on f4, this would be a problem. But now I can just chop it off and the other bishop will have the reign. So bishop here is better. Yeah, it's good to know. Good to know. Not obvious. These are the kind of thoughts that that you have. The other of course position is this one. But you know that okay, you cannot be better here with black ever. Let's just confirm that. Because you never know these days. No, you can't. And yeah, you have to always take into account. It looks a little bit nice for Ding now that Gukesh is thinking. Ding is strong, huh? Ding is strong. And Gukesh is thinking. Yeah, that's the thing, that Gukesh he cannot prepare everything. These, like, there were so many options for black, for white and for black. So many options here. So many lines that are testing. That this is like just one of them, and it's not even so testing. Bishop b6 was not the computer move, by the way, at all, from what I remember. Let's see what this computer says. Yeah, it really likes white. Really likes white. Queen e2, it says. e5, rook d1. Oh boy. Oh boy. What does he want? He wants a6, I guess. d1, he wants bishop d7. This is hard though, this decision. It's a hard, rough decision. It's a rough, hard decision. Also, this torch maybe gives slightly higher eval than Stockfish would. And if I just go backy back in f1, strange square, but okay. Still nice for white. Okay, let me just check this on good Stockfish just to be sure. Okay, so he went knight b5. Yeah, the strong Stockfish insists on e5. It insists on e5. It says you have to go e5. You had to go e5. Knight d4, and then it says you can. Now it says you should take with a pawn. Strong Stockfish says you should take with a pawn. Yeah. It insists on that. I'm curious if Gukesh is forgetting his files or if his files are probably they're too large. Probably the files are too big. And it's not that they haven't checked it, it's just that it's just too large. But it was a bit worse what he had, by the way. It was a little bit worse. No, Ding played very well knight b5. Okay, bishop b6. Let's see now. Yeah, computer really likes white. Strong computer really likes white. Especially after queen e2. a6. Yeah, by the way, Stockfish is just the same. Even powerful Stockfish on big depth. It loves white here. Like in this position, it says white is just rolling. Okay, the weakness of these squares around the king, not very relevant because the bishop is extremely passive and the knight is extremely well placed. And I want to just go bishop e3, trade the bishop, double the rooks. Fully control the position. If ever I need, I could go f3 and diagonal will be closed. I get that in this case, but still it's a very unusual idea to give up the bishop without concrete benefit. So I think it is a little bit difficult. A little bit difficult for Ding to figure this all out. But still, tremendous development for Ding. Tremendous development for Ding. He gets to press here, he gets to play here without much risk, by the way. Wow, we could see the, you know, today. We could see it. We could see it. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, as they say. Queen e2 is a good move. The computer also says, by the way, that is super direct to do this. Again, exploiting this bad bishop and this powerful knight. But it feels very, very miserable. Queen e2 much cooler, of course. But not obvious, this Queen e2 and all this stuff. It's not obvious. There are alternatives, there are options. Different moves here. One thing I wouldn't do, by the way, is I wouldn't go after this bishop. This is a bad bishop. This is a good knight. I'm not sure you need to do that. Let's see what my fellow grandmasters think. Yeah. Well, they're trying to debate Gukesh's preparation. I think the preparation doesn't suit Gukesh. I think it doesn't suit him. I think his black preparation doesn't suit him. I'm not going to elaborate on why, because it's gives too much away. But I think that the preparation is good, but not for him. Not for the way he approaches things. He's getting in trouble with black time and again. He got worse in the London twice. One time severely. He got worse in the English once. Okay, the other time it suited him nicely, the position. That one was good, but the other time it didn't work out well. He's getting worse today. He got worse, by the way, also in the Italian, but that was not really a prep fault. He got also a bit worse against knight f3, e3, b3, but that's also not really opening's fault. Yeah, he's worse with the black pieces in almost every single game. Gukesh, that is. It's just that Ding hasn't been trying to push for 80% of the match. But now that Ding wants to push, it could really backfire. If Ding wanted to push from the start, by the way, it would have been a very dangerous match for Gukesh. But even so, still he's in a very tough spot now. Gukesh, that is. Is this the real evil bar? Yeah, it is the most real evil bar ever. Let me look at the video footage. I want to see the video footage. I want to see their faces. Guki is acting confident. The thing is also about Guki is that he's very confident in general, so he underestimates a little bit the dangers. Which is a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. It can be a bad thing when you are deciding between two continuations, of which one is very drawish and the other is worse. And if you're very optimistic, you see that one is drawish and you don't realize that the other is worse because you're optimistic. So you choose the wrong continuation. It's the downside of being optimistic. So usually people who are optimistic, they're bad in slightly worse positions because they don't start defending them until it's too late. Until it's too late. It's downside. Who do you think will win? Well, draw is the favorite, but Ding has objectively a very good position now. He looks chill. Queen e2 apparently is very strong and it all works out very well. I don't know what are the challenges here that Ding is going to be thinking about. I mean, I guess a6 is quite principled. This is a very hard sequence, I feel, for white, but even this was giving him a small edge. Maybe he could be thinking about e5 as well. Gukesh, that is. Position doesn't look very bad, but it's deceiving. These things, they could be very, very dangerous for black. Could be very dangerous for black. Not clear. Doesn't look so bad, of course. Honestly, doesn't look bad, but let's see. For example, in this one, the last one, yeah, we saw. So I made e5, first line, by the way, apparently. I played queen e7. Bishop e3 I went bishop e6. Position didn't look so clear. It didn't look so bad for black to me, this one. Not obvious to me that it's so bad. So the way computer plays is the following. He takes, plays b3. Really not obvious to me this is bad, by the way. f5 and long-term weaknesses here, but short-term play here is very annoying. No, maybe just start with b3. f5, maybe you have some options now. Rook d6 or c5. No, f5 premature here, so probably rook d8. Yeah, this is more like it. Now let's trade everything. This is control forward. Yeah, so this is what I was wanted to achieve. Yeah. Okay, long-term weaknesses. Okay, yeah. Computer very, very professional here. Just trades everything and goes for a knight endgame. Very professional. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. What can I say? It's a bit tricky. A good thing for Ding is a queen f3 is also good. Is an alternative. It's also good. Can Ding play like computer? Sometimes. Certain positions he plays very well. This is the type of position that Ding can play very well. This is the type of position. He's there are certain positions and games that I remember of Ding where he starts playing with almost a computer precision. He starts to, and yeah, this is the kind of move he makes, like b3. He knows exactly, or he feels exactly when to make a concrete move and when to make a small improving move. Let's see b3. I like b3. I mean, if I didn't know the computer evaluation, I would think that this could be the best move. Ding is impressing me sometimes with these kind of moves. Not a move you would consider, but Ding is yeah, very fine player. Computer also likes it. Computer likes it just fine. Computer likes it just fine. So computer goes a6, knight to c3, bishop back to d4 where it belongs. But actually, no, it's not. No, it's, and then e5. And Ding has not played it the best way. Yeah, this is fine for black. No, Ding has slipped a bit. Ding has slipped. He slipped quite a bit. If Gukesh finds a6 e5 and bishop d4 e5, he's back to a very reasonable setup. Yeah, Ding has slipped. I don't see the point of what he's done. a6. What has he done? Ah, okay. My man's gonna trade, of course, the queens. My man's gonna trade the queens, of course. Yeah, my man's gonna trade the queens. He's gonna play knight a4. But is he a bit better? It looks to me like he is a little bit better, but computer strong. But computer strong. But Gukesh is also strong, so these positions still could be like, okay, black has already nicely established this, developed all the pieces, but still this is a little bit nagging. Yeah, but black is just very comfy here. Very well developed. No, black is just fine here, basically. Gukesh should find a6. I mean, okay, what is there to find? There's no other move now. Now that bishop a3 is a threat, you have no other move. You have to go a6. He's gonna make it. There's nothing to find. It's the most obvious move in the position. The only question is if you, after a6, knight 3, if you go... First of all, the question is if he takes or if you go back. Now if you go bishop d4. Bishop d4 is not the obvious move. But it's a very nice move. It's a very nice one. Okay, the problem with queen e7 is that the queen is badly placed there, because after e5 it's going to be targeted with knight d5. That's why Ding had to misplace it and move the queen, go rook d1. But I think the challenge that Ding faced, especially here, yeah, I don't really know actually what the challenges were. Yeah, it doesn't work at all. I'm not sure what the challenges were, but yeah, I should have gone queen a2 just frankly. b3 just not it. Just a6. Not sure why Gukesh is in a tank. a6, there's no other move that I can see that makes any sense, because bishop a3 is a threat. Bishop a3 is a nasty threat. Maybe there is something to worry about here. And knight d6, bishop d4, bishop a3 doesn't work also. No, a6 is just very nice. He's in a bit of a thought. I expect a yeah. No, I always told you it was going to be a draw. In fact, let's just no, but Ding is a little bit better, yeah. No, I think it's a bit better. He's a bit better. We can't make the bar show equal. We cannot do this. As long as the bar is under +1, as long as the bar is under here, it means that it's more likely a draw than a win. Above here means more likely a win than a draw. So it's right now here. It's a bit better for white, but it's going to be a draw, most likely. Why is Gukesh thinking so long? Okay, he just started thinking, it's fine. But a6 is really a must, yeah. I'm not sure there's another move. Well, there is this, yeah, highly ambitious. But this will be quite crazy. In a completely wrong direction. Bishop f2. Ooh! Oh my god. No, there's bishop f4 at least. No, you scared me, jeez. You scared me. No, I have at least bishop f4. At least at most. You know, I have this. Jeez, you scared me. Bishop f2. Something like what? I think he blundered it. I once had, with Alireza this game. I'll show you. I did win that game, which is actually a bummer. I was winning. Kind of funny. I had some similar moment. And some game with Alireza. How did it even go? Something like this. And suddenly I made my move. Maybe my queen was already on d2, but I made my move, which was like bishop e2. I went to castle to chill. And suddenly I had this massive cold sweat. I felt like, oh no. And I had total panic because this loses the pawn, the center pawn, and I had a complete panic for a second. And then I realized, okay, hang on, I have knight c6, bishop b3, can take, yeah, and I can just take here and it's fine. Total panic suddenly I had for a second I just had a panic, panic moment, and knight e5 I blundered, but it just doesn't, it's not a thing. Something like this it was, maybe it was, could it be, it was maybe even castle a3 included. Yeah, it was that. It was this. Yeah, it was this. It was this, yeah. But this tactic, somehow I hadn't seen it, and suddenly I saw it and panicked. And similar moment for Ding now, perhaps. Suddenly he's like, oh no, bishop f2. But no, there's bishop f4. Bishop f4 is there, protecting the rook with the queen. People say my stream is good because there's no ads. Well, lately the stream is not amazing. the games are not really offering us too much insight, and I already shared all the insight. But let's wait and see a bit what Gukesh is up to. Should go with this a6, this bishop d4 e5 construction was very good. No, a6 played. Yeah. Let's wait for Ding now to decide this or this. a6 played, yeah. Let me see how Gukesh makes the move. Very calm. He's very optimistic always, so not worried at all here. Ding missed a chance there with queen e2, by the way. It was nice, not like a chance. He missed the potential for a nice position. But it required still a few good moves from him, obviously. I'm curious, what is his idea? Does he want to trade queens or what? It might be he wants to trade queens and try and just simplify it. I think he will trade queens. I think that's the point. Otherwise, I don't see any point behind b3. Okay, he wants to put bishop on b2, yeah? I think he wants to trade queens. Let's see. Let's see. Not sure. What do you guys think? What do you think, chat? Does he want to trade queens or not? Computer says they're about similar. I would expect that he wants to trade queens somehow. I think he wants comfort. I think he wants to be sure that he's not worse anywhere ever. I think in general, after he was surprised in the opening, he's kind of in a solid mode. He just wants to sort of draw it, or at least be in control. I think so. The other reason he went b3 is that here he was thinking about b3, bishop b2, which was the best setup. So this b3 got into his head a bit. So he went b3 also here. So he could just go back to c3 with the knight. Because trading, of course, on black's terms is always nice for black, that you got the rook here at least. But on the other hand, you do trade queens. So you eliminate a significant part of risk. Also eliminate a significant part of your winning chances. Let's see. Principal decision. After this decision, we're gonna call it what it is. Who would you rather face in World Championship match, Ding or Gukesh? Interesting question. I think Gukesh. Or Ding at his peak. Or Ding who is feeling good. I don't like this notion of like, I think it's uncomfortable for Gukesh also. It must have been very uncomfortable. I think a lot of his mental training was to deal with that. So strange this. And Nepal, for example, couldn't deal with it well. So strange this, when you know your opponent is sort of not at his best or something. It's just, and yet he is strong too. It's a strange situation, I think. Very uncomfortable. You want like a proper, like, okay, you are strong, he is strong, let's play, see who is the best. Not this weird thing where he's somehow a shadow of himself that is still incredibly strong. It's kind of a weird shadow. You don't want to face shadows. You want to face ninjas, not shadows. A strange shadow also. Some kind of shadow that for 14 games plays like a top player, yeah? At this high pressure. It's not really a shadow, but it just creates this weird. It's just a bit uncomfortable. I think it's a bit uncomfortable to play Ding. I think, of course, for Ding it's even worse because he's himself going through these issues. It's much worse, of course. I'm not saying that, but still, I guess that for the other player, they prefer to play. They prefer that Ding would just say that, yeah, I'm chill now. This was all nonsense. I'm really good now. Just had some, some nonsense there. Now I'm all really good. Gucci. Forget it. I'm cool now. Just listening to some sad songs all day long was a bad idea. Now I'm just listening to rap every day. Feeling good. Feeling fly. It would be nicer. Would be nicer. Very, very principled decision for Ding now, actually. To trade the queens or not to trade? Recommended artist, somebody say. Which rapper do you listen? Why is there a set of even number of games? So that it's fair. White has a small advantage always, so that you get a fair distribution of equal white games as equal black games. That's why. Will Gukesh save his prep after match or play in regular tournaments? Gukesh is gonna play his prep in the tournaments. Trust me. Nothing to save for anymore. And the prep has an expiration date at some point. These days, the problem is that you'll start forgetting your prep. A few months in, you'll forget your own prep. And then you have to look at it all over again. And if you have some new ideas, then the high chance that some other people find those same new ideas and will play it. Knight c3. Wow, the principal choice. Ding is ready for it. He is aiming for a fight. He is aiming for a fight. He doesn't want to give given concessions. He doesn't want black to develop the rook for free. Doesn't want to trade queens himself. He says, okay, you want to trade queens? Let's trade queens. But Gukesh will never trade queens like that. Not on Ding's terms. No, you should stick the bishop on here. And e5. Go for the setup that he could have gone for. That he wanted to go for. He does it. Yeah, this is a good strong setup. And now black's more or less fine. And now e5, yeah. Black's just fine. According to computer, black's completely fine. Why that is? Well, I can tell you why that is. White has to lose a lot of time. What white wants is white wants to trade these bishops and plant knight on d5. You see, Eval has shut up. Shut up, not shut up. White has a tremendous position here. The problem is that this is your plan, but it will cost you a lot of time. It's very hard to execute. If you bring the rook here, it will be hit. So what you can try to do is a shadow of the plan with knight a4. But in that scenario, yeah, your knight is too far away from d5. So here already the knight is shut out of play, or even after knight d4. Till you bring the knight back, it costs you too much time. And meanwhile, black already, you see, boom, sacrifice exchange, generate play. So it costs white a lot of time to trade these bishops. In the meantime, black will be able to finish development. You see, this is the best way probably to try and bring knight back, but black will bring the rook into the center in the meantime. And by the time you've reached that, compared to the position I had, this one, it's a much worse version already. Already black has developed all the pieces. He can now take. Yeah, now you see if you move the bishop already, some activity is coming there. The d file will be taken control of. This will just have to be a draw. So white's issue a little bit is that he played queen d2. White's issue a little bit is that time factor is not in his favor. But wait here, queen d2. It's a move I like because now after bishop e6, knight d5. Yeah, you get something in between. You get some version which is in between these two that I've shown. Maybe b5. Queen a5 is very strong. Because basically what white wants is white wants to go knight d5. Trade bishops with the knight in the center. Not with the knight on e2. You should prevent it. So bishop e6, you can allow it, of course. Not the end of the world, but queen a5 is very powerful to prevent it. Very refined understanding. Not too refined. I mean, I could see a strong player finding it. You see, you've caused some... Now you've created certain... You've destabilized a little bit white's pawn chain in a funny way. After b5, for example, suddenly you are a little bit unstable now. This pawn is not protected, so the knight is not protected then by the pawn. So you created some instability. Did he make a move? So superficial. So superficial. Such a shame. It's a shame. Shame. Very superficial. Queen a5 would have been very nice. Okay, I mean, I wouldn't expect it, but... Now he's okay with this. Probably he wants b5 or something or not. He's probably okay with this. It's most natural move, bishop c6. Of course, most natural. But this would have been very cool. Yeah? Queen a5 is a very, very deep understanding of the position by a computer. He basically loses to tempi in order to destabilize this pawn chain. Okay, it's highly difficult to understand. But he didn't even think here, so understandably, I know he thought, okay, why bother? I understand, yeah. If you develop the bishop to here or to e6, yeah, it's better to develop it on e6. I understand. He thought anyway knight d5 is coming, queen a5 is weird. Totally get it. Also, maybe he thought rook d1, knight d5. Actually, what in fact? Maybe bishop g4, yeah. Yeah, this was the issue. Maybe h3 and rook d1 and then knight d5. Yeah, white is still nice, by the way, here. No, white was nice. So white was just a little bit better. Oh, Ding is playing it very well. Very well. I have to say, he's playing it very well. Very nice, very harmonious. Very nice. Very nice. Small free pressure, knight d5, I like. How is b5? Now you gotta somehow you gotta challenge something here. You gotta challenge this supremacy on the d5 square. Takes, knight takes f4, and you also challenge this construction. Yeah, it's very, very nice for white. Huh? Knight d5 played. Very nice for Ding. Wow, very nice. Yeah, very clean how he played it also. Oh, look, very clean. All the pieces are developed. Knight is on the best square on d5. Very solid construction on the queen side. Very risk-free. f4 is coming at some point to undermine the knight. These pawns are protecting each other. I want to color them nicely blue. Powerful knight. Yeah, beautifully played. Powerful bishop. Beautifully played. Black doesn't have too many issues, of course. But a little nagging a little bit. No, small edge for Ding. Yeah, it's a good game so far by Ding. Good game by Ding so far. Definitely a good game by Ding so far. Decent also. I am not completely sure I love the prep today. I'm not sure. It seems that Ding is able to handle surprises quite well at this point. So the surprise hasn't really destabilized him too much. Even though Gukesh prepared an entirely new system, Ding was able to navigate it quite well. Perhaps Gukesh made small inaccuracies as well. And now Ding is slightly better. Not much, less time also, and Black has ideas of his own. With good play, Black should definitely still be fine. But small pressure. Ding happy with the outcome of the opening, could be worse. But yeah, pressure is small, so. You guys, final question and I'm going. Looks like a draw, how many results possible? Yeah, so 0-1 is not really likely. It's really either a draw or Ding winning. Can you tell who has more chances? Okay, I have a bar here to show, so white's a bit better. Favorite ice cream flavor? You know, many interesting, but if you just like go with vanilla, it can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with vanilla. Arjun Isipenko, let me see. Arjun Isipenko, and then I'm going. Oof. Yeah, Isipenko mixed up his prep a bit, but then Arjun didn't play like an engine either, and they have a fun game now. They're both out of book. Fascinating stuff. Rebecca has a large advantage with my childhood idea. Crazy. It's so funny. Okay. Wow. Wow, yeah, interesting games in Qatar for sure. But really, it's all about Arjun Osipenko there. For now, computer says it's zeros. It's very, very, very unclear. Very, very, very unclear. It should favor Arjun a bit, but psychologically and also style-wise, but very unclear. Very, very unclear. Arjun must win. Can Gukesh win? Unlikely today. He should just defend today and try and win the tiebreak. I don't see Ding giving him chances to win. Gukesh winning in tiebreak, the percentage? If it goes to tiebreak, I think Gukesh's chances in tiebreak are about, okay, maybe a 40%. He's had less good rapid and blitz results in his career, in his short for now career than Ding, but I don't think it's a big deal. 40% is a very fair chance. He'll win 4 out of 10 of these matches. Fair enough. I'm gonna play back and say yes. Does Gukesh have any surprise openings in rapid? Oh yeah, Gukesh is very well prepared. He'll have surprises. And Ding will have to react quickly. He'll have to react quickly. But the problem for Ding is that he will have to react quickly. He can't react as well as in classical. But the problem for Gukesh is then once Ding goes wrong, Gukesh has less time to exploit Ding's mistakes. So likely what you will see is that both players will make more mistakes. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. Fascinating game by Arjun against Osipenko. Fascinating. For now, equal. What's your opinion on preparation? Check the engine. His moves are not in top 5 even sometimes. Yeah. That's the point. His preparation is basing it all on the surprise value. He's basing everything on surprise value, and he goes very deep in the prep. But it's also risky, of course, because White has a lot of options. Yeah, we reached a stable point in the game. Ding has finished his development. He's brought all the pieces out. Nice, small, comfortable position. I don't know how he evaluates it. Even if he's pessimistic, let me see what is the margin for White. Okay, these moves will be made. Yeah, let's see. What is he thinking? So let's say he wants to go here. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, you see, this could be a scenario. Some draw here. Well, not draw, slightly more pleasant rook endgame for White in the end. Actually, very nasty endgame. So you probably don't go out of the way. Could try and repeat. Let's see here. Okay, this is of course very clean. Although no, there you don't have much. You need to keep the knight. Yeah, this is a little. Once you go f6, then this pawn will become very weak also. This you know that you are slightly better with White. Not much, but slightly better. Queen should probably make a comeback to the center at some point. Yeah, no, I guess Ding realizes he has no risk, but he could, of course, at some point undersell his edge and go for a draw. He definitely could. But he is slightly better right now. Probably he realizes that, or will realize it at some point. Let's see. Thank you for watching, guys. Stay tuned. If something exciting will happen, I'll let you know. Anyway, main prediction still is that we're gonna see exciting tiebreak, but it could still go. I mean, I would be shocked if Ding will somehow lose control of this, but he could get some winning chances here, especially if Gukesh starts to be uncertain, starts thinking, make bad moves. Possible. It's slightly unpleasant position to play. Thank you for watching, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Comments in section below. Like the stream and all of that. If you, I answered most of the questions already, so if you haven't seen the full stream, please watch from the start. It's very, very instructive, very instructive. Yeah, thank you.